The National Economic Development and Labour Council, Nedlac's 28th annual National Summit has wrapped up at the Gallagher estate in Midrand. The summit provides an opportunity for social partners from organised business, community government and organised labour to receive and consider a report on the activities of the institution. Our reporter Gallagher joins us now for more. Gallagher, thank you so much for your time. Well, we saw the Deputy President, of course, giving his address, and the summit does come more than a year after partners failed to hammer out a social compact, just to address some of the situations that we are currently seeing now as it relates to economic challenges and unemployment.
Yeah, most definitely. A very good afternoon to you, Unati, and to our viewers at home. You're quite right. Just at the center of what we saw, the engagements, or how we saw the engagements go here at the Gallagher Convention Center was just centered around just that social compact. And most of the social partners here are talking about taking stock and ensuring that they position Nedlac to really have that position that would change and mitigate where the socio-economic challenges are concerned. So today we saw government just forming part of what's happening here, a business also forming part of what's happening here, organised labour as well as civil society are just coming together to take stock on the relevance of Nedlac in this day in time, the work of Nedlac in the year that was, and there was also a report that was released here today just looking into the work of Nedlac just in the past financial year. Great was to hear that they got an unqualified audit, and here were the commitments as well from social partners in terms of ensuring that these talks that they've had here have to materialize in changing the lives of South Africans. As me and you speak right now, the country just battling high levels of unemployment. We know that those socio-economic challenges are very, very rife, and also just the slow economic pace, just slow economic transformation in the country. And we're seeing those social partners talking about just coming through with coherent policies that will be comprehensive in ensuring that all social partners play their role in getting South Africa out of the crisis that we find ourselves in. I'm going to bring into the conversation now the Executive Director of Nedlac, this being Miss Lisa Seftel, who joins us this afternoon to just reflect with us. It's been a day of engagements. We saw a lot coming from just the social partners, most of them just counting the wins and others counting the missed opportunities where Nedlac is concerned. But also we saw a report that was passed out where Nedlac is also positioning itself to go into the new financial year with a mandate from social partners. Welcome to the SABC. Lisa?
Yes, thank you very much, and thank you to the SABC for attending our meeting today. So yes, our meeting really focused on two things. The one is the performance of the last year of Nedlac, and then also to look at where social partners and social partnering or social compacting should go forward. And we had a specific focus on what unfortunately we experience more than we should, which is unforeseen crises, such as some that are climate-induced, as well as through the declining nature of infrastructure, even things like what was happening in the city of Johannesburg last week, where over 77 people lost their lives. And I think the lesson, the message coming out of the summit, is that it is very important in these times to be prepared, but also it's important to collaborate. That it's important that government must lead when there's a crisis. There must be a strong chain of command, but everybody does have a role.
Just also the Deputy President taking to the podium to talk about the existing challenges where the economy is concerned, and also talking about poverty, and saying that at some point there have to be compromises between these social partners because we can't just come here and have these policies drafted that are meant to change the lives of South Africans for the better, but then those policies are not finding meaning because social partners are not in any way applying those policies on the ground.
Well, I'm not altogether sure that is really the message of the Deputy President, but he did challenge that we need, in a time of a crisis, socio-economic crisis, to collaborate more and make hard trade-offs. However, the legacy of Nedlac in the COVID-19 response has shown that when there's a crisis, in fact, there has been a response and things have been delivered. For example, we collaborated on the vaccine rollout as well as on income relief through the COVID-19 tours.
I mean, also, as we reflect, we have to be realistic about the day-to-day challenges of men and women on the ground where the economy is concerned. When we talk about socio-economic challenges, right at the top is the high unemployment rate. At the top there is the issue of the poverty that is rampant on the ground, and people are looking towards this institution in ensuring that they mitigate against some of these challenges. What are the commitments going forward, Lisa, so we ensure that at least people get the best out of this institution?
So I think that where Nedlac is positioned, there are both short-term responses and long-term systemic responses. The social partners are very much seized with addressing some of the short-term crises which can turn around investment and create jobs, such as the load-shedding problem, freight problem, crime, vandalism, and so on. So and there are a number of crisis committees and other initiatives to try and address those so that we can have a better climate for investment and job creation. At the same time, the Nedlac social partners are seized with policies and legislation which can deal more with systemic problems. For example, when it comes to education, the problem of the missing middle. The Minister of Higher Education has released a paper, a policy paper, which the social partners are deliberating on. We're also very engaged with issues of the high cost of living, particularly food prices, and what are the measures to reduce high food prices as well as mitigate the impact on the most vulnerable.
What do we do with policies that are still there and they're not implemented? Minister Thula Singesi was also talking about the fact that we would come here and decide on 90% of the things to do, but then the 10% that would still be outstanding. And we find that when we come back, most of the 90% has not been achieved because these policies have not found meaning where social partners are concerned. Is there a strategy from Nedlac to ensure that at least everyone plays their role here and it's not just talk? At the end of the day, we see people getting the best out of this institution going forward?
Sure. So the reality is about policies is that, social partners input into a policy, government has to then adopt it, and government is the prime implementing agent. What we've started to do in Nedlac is also, if a policy has come through Nedlac, for example, the border management policy, then we call the Department of Home Affairs back to come and account in a sense. And that's also useful because then also the stakeholders on the ground in relationship to, say, border management are able to give feedback, and that hopefully can enrich the implementation.
All right. Lisa, thank you very much for your time. Lisa Seftel coming through as the Executive Director of Nedlac. They accommodated and hosted us here today, just taking stock of the economy, taking stock of the socio-economic challenges as they also prepare on going into a new financial year with a mandate from all of the social partners in ensuring that at least when we come back here next year, there's a greater consensus on just the mitigation and how then some of the some of the people on the ground, society, and in general, the youth are getting the best out of this institution here.